no wasting at all.
No, it's just weird because you kind of sit there, and you agonise over all the things that you're trying to do, and all the decisions that you're trying to make, and all the calls that you're trying to make, and all the bits that go into it, like how one bit was I wanted it to be a bit like De Palma's Sisters, and all these decisions that you do and stuff like that.
Where did the sisters?
That's the bit. Where he. It's mainly sound. If you listen to the sound, it's the bit where he goes to the old people's home, and and it's kind of very oboe based, and
I hadn't really noticed that.
Yeah,
De Palma is all about the sound. And have you seen Blow Up? Blow Out. Sorry, I always get them mixed up. Blow Up is all about.
Blow Up isn't bad either.
Yeah, no. But always get them mixed.
But Blow Out is a really good film, and very much very much based on sound, and so we worked really hard on trying to get that across. We worked really hard at sort of like when to use sound, when not to use sound, when to go for it, when not to go for it, so like I don't know if you remember where he stops the car, and the truck sort of parked down there, and the car won't start up,
Yes.
and there's no music over any of that, and it just worked. I think it works so much better because we're not pushing the audience into thinking, oh my god.
Well, people overuse sound, I find, too much now. And I think that's one of the things I liked so much about the film was it really played against the modern cinema of thrillers, and it was almost Hitchcock in its simplicity, and you really paid attention to the character and plot.
Yeah.
I mean, were you conscious of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say all the time that I think I think simple ideas are the best, and I think in the simplicity is a complexity. Do you know what I mean? And to all intents and purposes, it's about a guy who loses his girlfriend on the road, but really it's not. Really for me, it's this massive game we're playing with the audience.
Yes.
Where are they now in the film? What are they thinking? Right, okay, they're thinking that. Okay, so how can I subvert that? How can I make them think something else, right? Or how can and then also you talk about very, 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 very literate and intelligent audience, right?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And they know that if you're going to cut away to him putting chocolates in the back of his pants, it's going to come back, right?
Yeah, so it's important. It's a clue.
Yeah, and they know that. And so for me, very much you kind of go, okay, I need to get clues into the audience, clues across the audience about how he's going to get out of situations. Like for example, I have to get him out of the car, his car, because I've established in the film that his car can overtake the truck.
Yes.
So if his girlfriend's been taken by the truck, he can just overtake it and stop him. So I've got to get him out of the car. So how do I get him out of the car in a believable way that the audience aren't going to figure out? And we do it by the sticker, and the football hooligan sticker.
Oh yes, they slash his tyre.
They slash his tyre.
He has to go on the run effectively.
And he goes and takes it, and that game is a great. There's a great Truffaut book with where he talks to Hitchcock.
Yes, that's one of the classics. Yes,
it's a brilliant book. And in that, very much, I was looking and thinking, gosh, because I think we've got two bits of kind of outright sort of gore or sort of horrific bits, but otherwise we wanted to cut away from the horrific moments and kind of just either show even people always say about the dog dying, and that's all in sound. You don't actually hear, you don't see anything.
Yes. Oh yes, yeah.
So that's pretty much what we wanted to do. I wanted to make a suspense thriller, with elements of horror coming into it, but that was what we set out to do. Yeah.
Could you talk about the genesis of the film? Because you wrote it as well as directed it. And where did the actual story come from? How did you come up with that?
I used to do. My brother used to put posters up. Sorry. So the genesis of the idea came from my brother had a company that put up posters in football stadiums, and I used to do this job for them because it was good money, and I could do 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, and it was perfect. A lot of directors did it, like Rupert Wyatt, who directed The Escapist. He did the job with me.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh, so you know the director of The Escapist?
Yeah. So we had a lot of people. We had some DOPs do it. We had a lot of people do this job, which was really cool. Anyway, so we did this job, and I would go on the road and I'd put these posters up, and all the time I was putting these posters up, I'd always be thinking about trucks. What was in the back of trucks? And I used to be a cycle courier, and I used to think the same thing. I was a cycle courier, and ironically, being a cycle courier is my second film that I'm doing now for Pathé. But the first one was. And I just think, God, what's in these trucks? And I thought, and I just daydreaming. And I just thought, what would happen if this truck went past? And kind of linked into that. I don't think it's enough to. This is what Alan Moore says. Alan Moore's got a great book called Writing for Comics. It's a brilliant little book. It's the best book I've read on writing.
I haven't read that. I didn't know he'd written a book about writing comics.
Yeah, it's a brilliant book. It's a small little book. It's just a brilliant book. One of the things he says is, you've got to make your work about something, even if it's trite. Even if it's just nonsense, but it's got to be about something, and I really believe that as well. And I think the same thing. And we it's not about a guy who loses his girlfriend in a service station. That's not what it's about at all. The film's about self-interest versus social responsibility, and it's about being trapped. That's what it's about. And what I've done is I've masqueraded it in this thriller, and that's what happens. But every step of the way, it's a Road to Damascus movie. It's a coming-of-age movie. It's a not a doom love story, but it's a love story as well. It's all those things, and it isn't just a kind of oh my god, guy. It isn't that at all. But I'm not explaining it because at the same time, because it sounds really poncy, blah blah. Because at the same time, you don't want people to think, oh, it's all just nonsense. Because it is a roller coaster ride as well.
Yes.
But the clues are there.
Yeah.
If you want to see it for more than what it is.
Now, the character of Zakes is really important. He's in every scene practically.
Yeah.
It really drives the film. I mean, was the casting of him difficult? And did you? And when you got William Ash in, did he know he was going to be in for such a hard ride?
Yeah. I said to him, look, this film rests on you doing it, doing this job well, and we kind of need each other. And he's a wonderful man. He's a really kind of hard-working guy, and he's he really knows his stuff, and he's a real actor's actor. He kind of gets onto it, really hits his mark. And, incredibly technically brilliant. Because obviously all of the films are ADR'd, right? And so we can't, and that's a really difficult skill to get right.
Yes.
And and just doing that alone, he did that, and so it was really tough. And putting him through the rain, but you know what it's like. I'm really thankful that I do this job.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
It's just such a great job.
Yes.
And I don't have time for people that sort of go, but we'll all complain. I always think to myself, if you want to complain, go and work in a bank. Go and clean the streets, because they're people doing really hard work.
Yes.
And so it's a strange extent. I didn't have to say to him, it's going to be really tough, because I know that when we were by the camera and it was raining and we were running, it felt like we were part of some sort of like platoon. It just felt like this great kind of group of lads kind of running, and when you finished, your heart would be beating. Your heart.
Yes. Such a physical film.
Yeah. So I think as much as I think he enjoyed that. I think he really enjoyed that, because I know that I did. Oh look, there he is. Speak of the devil.
Sort of.
So yeah.
And as a first-time film director, did you give yourself quite a hard task, because you'd written your own film, but it was all set at night, all outside, all in the rain?
Yeah.
Did you, when you actually got on set, was that a hardship? Or?
But you see, as a first-time film director, I think you can only make those calls. I'd never. I mean, now I'm writing 12th Prophet. I'm very particular about where we go tonight, because you just can't do it. And if I'd known what it means to shoot at night, and how long that takes, then I would have definitely thought about it in different ways, without a doubt. But because it is your first film, you think to yourself, well, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And people warn you, and they say, oh, are you sure you want to shoot at night? That's what they say to you, and then you think
the day's shorter, and it must be not physically hard as well.
Yeah, it is. Everybody gets too tired.
One final question. One of the things we do on our website is we talk about people's inspirations and their influences. Could you just talk about any filmmakers or any artists or anyone that's inspired you over the years?
God, yeah. I mean, score-wise, because recently I've been listening to a lot of scores, and Carter Burwell, John Powell, James Newton Howard, Max Richter. Max Richter's been something that I've been listening to a lot recently with my composer. So that's in terms of music side, because I mention that, it might sound a bit odd, but I mention that because when I write, I'll make scores of what I'm writing, and I think it helps you get into a mood.
Yes, I can imagine that must work.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I mentioned that, that's what I mentioned. I think in terms of films, it's the usual sort of suspects, apart from I really like things like Charlie Varick.
Don Segal, yeah.
I really like, I like Peckinpah films, but I like things like Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. I like those sorts of films.
But you see those in Hush. It's all about cross-country driving. Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
And men wanting to be better men.
Yes.
And so I really like those sorts of films. I kind of really have a real sort of affinity to those sorts of films. And I remember when I saw, I'd love to do a sort of crime noir film sort of thing. I obviously early Spielberg was huge. Obviously Jules was a big influence.
Yes, of course.
We don't see the bad guy in our film the same as theirs, and also how he prepped and how he shot, because he shot that 13 days or 12 days, I'm sure. And I know that we had to think the same way of how we shot, and he worked on sound, so that was very important to me. I think it's interesting because it's very difficult for me to talk about sort of directors. Because I'm part of a team and my wife produces me, so.
Oh right, yes.
So a lot of the time when I'm looking at other directors, I'm looking at other director teams, And so I look at people like Peter Jackson, who works with his wife, and I look at Zack Snyder, who works with his wife, and Chris Nolan, who works with his wife, and James Mangold, who works with his wife, and because that's kind of how I look at it. And I look at how they've done things, and so I don't just sort of look at director-based stuff. I do. Yeah. At the same time, I look at more sort of director-producer-based stuff.
Yeah, I suppose you have to look at it now.
Yeah. And then I sort of see that achievement, like I think as an achievement, like making Lord of the Rings with the person who's the mother of your child is immense, you know. And to do that and to still be married afterwards is just immense, you know. Right. It's an immense achievement, and so I sort of have a bit of a skewed sort of, you know, a sort of skewed answer to that question because
that's great.
I kind of look at different sort of things really.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your time.
No, thank you. I'm really glad you liked it as well.
Thank you.